And we are back. And we just finished watching 1980's The Fog, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 29 minutes. This is directed by John Carpenter, with writing credits to John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. This is the story of a small town called Antonio Bay, which is coming up on its 100-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that some very shady happenings happened 100 years ago, and it has come time now to collect by those that were offended, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to worry about spoilers for a
this is
film
an
that's
old
40,
film.
43 years old. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. 43 years old. This movie is almost 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
Terrible.
I saw this in the theater, as did you.
No, I saw this on Channel 11, WPIX.
I think I caught it on Pix,
When I was
but
a
I
little kid.
did originally see this in the theater. I think I liked it more as a 8-year-old.
As a little kid, this film packed a punch.
Yeah.
As
and
an
now
adult,
I found myself extremely bored.
Yeah. I wouldn't say bored, but I would say this is very tame.
Very tame, yeah.
Very tame. You can see like John Carpenter, I guess, like building his style here, because this is one of his earlier movies.
Yes.
And it's got all the things that there's like some hallmarks he pulled from Halloween with the dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, that sort of music.
And it's funny because, fun fact, he, I guess, is a part-time musician because he's done like the music in a couple of his films.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming this is no different because it had that tonality.
a lot of synth.
Yeah.
He loves synth. And this is like, I feel like there's a lot being done to set up a creepy atmosphere.
Yes.
Like he's really trying to get across that, okay, this entire town is now haunted because it's 100 years and it's time to pay the price
that debt,
for basically the event that enabled the founding of the town. You find out through this journal that pops out of a wall at the old church and has the old priest's entire confession about how the 6 founding members of Antonio Bay basically murdered this guy and his entire leper colony and stole his gold to found the town, although the gold was eventually stolen again and melted down into a giant crucifix. But now it's 100 years later, and the fog's rolling in, and inside the fog is the ghosts of all of these lepers who need to kill. Apparently, they need to kill 6 people. It doesn't. That's
specify why.
Yeah. Well, because there were 6 founders.
Oh. Right.
You get it, 6 for 6. And to me, that felt like one of the shortcomings of the film, because it wasn't like we have to kill the ancestors of the founders, although there is the priest.
Right.
It was just 6 random people.
Right, like the babysitter and the guys on that boat.
3 guys on a boat, weatherman.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if the weatherman was like an original member of the town.
No.
And some random babysitter.
Yeah.
And like they were going to kill the DJ. They were going to kill the guy, the
little kid.
They wanted to kill the little kid.
Yeah.
They wanted to kill Jamie Lee Curtis and whoever
Janet
that guy
Leigh's
is.
Assistant. Oh.
Janet Lee. They wanted to kill anybody they can get their hands on. They really weren't like discriminating when it came to that. And you'd figure if it's some sort of curse, then it would be like the descendants of the original founders of the town. Yeah, as a punishment to their children. Or screw this 6 thing. Let's just kill everyone. Yeah. I mean, you're all benefiting from this.
And then my other thing was, like, the journal didn't specify, like, after it killed the 6, was it going to come back in another 100 years? Was it going to come back in 100 days? Like,
well, the journal never said anything about 6 people.
Yeah,
it was the piece of driftwood that basically was like, hey, radio DJ, here's a hell of a hint.
6 must
die. So yeah, there was some. I think this could have gone through a couple of polishes on the script.
Yeah. Well, I mean, If I remember right, I mean, I remember watching this and being super scared because I thought the ghosts were really well done and they were scary. And
I mean, the whole concept of like there's her screaming, there's something in the fog, there's something that's creepy because you can't see what the hell is there, and then the only thing you see of these guys is these black sort of silhouettes in the fog.
Eyes.
And no, most of them don't even. You only see red beady eyes until the end, and like maggots and stuff. And it's just like a bunch of scary looking dudes with hooks. Hook. Yeah, maybe that's where the origin of that dream I had came from when I was a child. Maybe. But scary looking dudes with hooks just butchering people.
Right.
And when you're a little kid, Jesus, like I really thought this was a super scary film when I was little.
Yeah, no, same.
And now I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm desensitized. I'm used to seeing a bit more. Yeah. It's amazing how much is just hidden off screen, like all the killings.
Yeah.
You don't see anything. Nobody's getting punctured or
eviscerated
or anything. I think like probably the most graphic thing is you see a sword go through somebody, but there's no blood splattering anywhere. Right. So it's like, it's really...
I think the biggest jump scare was the priest coming out of the dark.
Yes.
That was the funniest thing. We all laughed.
Yeah,
and laughed
it was like,
laughed.
What is this drunken old priest doing? He is the master of fear in this movie because Janet Leigh's just like, Father? And she's like 3 feet away from where he's apparently just sitting in the darkness, and he just...
He was a wreck.
So, yeah. Oh, good old drunken Hal Holbrook there.
I think, obviously, for a 2023 audience, this is very slow. Like, I was bored and getting sleepy.
I kind of felt you were. I mean,
I was in and out.
We watched this after dinner in the evening, and you were not super enthused to even see this. I think.
Yeah, I was in and out.
The longer it took us to actually press play on the movie, the less enthusiastic you became.
Yeah, I mean, I muddled through.
You muddled through. You stayed awake through the whole thing, but
I don't know. Yeah. I dragged my feet, and like I keep thinking about Krull and how that didn't like.
Well, Krull is sort of an example that. Of a story that had good bones, but the execution was absolute dog shit. But this was
better.
It had better execution. You could see that John Carpenter actually cared about trying to set up this atmosphere and this creepy thing.
And I think he was successful.
And he was.
Yeah.
It's and just maybe because of the time or constraints. Maybe because back then things were like way more strict.
Right. I mean, if they would have an hour and a half and it doesn't deviate from that.
If they would have gone more gory or anything, they probably would have been like, oh my God, this must be rated X. I'm sure this was probably rated R when it came out. But now this would be like, this wouldn't even be PG-13. This would probably be a PG movie. Yeah. Aside from Jamie Lee Curtis just randomly having sex with strange guy old enough to be her dad.
Topless. I mean, I think she was topless in Prom Night. Yeah. But
that's another thing. Like the characters.
Yeah.
Why was Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie?
Because her mom's in it. I think
she served no purpose.
No,
she really didn't serve any purpose. Yeah. And, like, you didn't really get to know much about any of the characters, really. I mean, you knew more about the priest than anything, and he was in the film for maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, or the lady DJ played by Adrienne
Yeah,
Barbeau,
the lady DJ. Like, if they would have focused on her
I feel was like another big staple in 70s and 80s, like B-movie kind of quality type things.
Yeah, she was in a lot of, like, the B movies.
Yeah.
But, like, if they would have, like... If they would have focused on her and her kid and whatever, and just also kind of given a bit more reason for her to be so freaked out about the fog, because it was sort of like she was making a lot of jumps. Just there's something in the fog. Why? Like, how do you believe there's something in the fog? You have no evidence of it. You had no evidence to connect that piece of driftwood to the fog. Where are these giant leaps coming from? And suddenly you're just like screaming into the microphone. You're a DJ and you're screaming out, Bobby, or whatever the hell her
Yeah.
kid's name is, get out of the house, get out. And why are you telling your kid to get out of the house and run into the fog?
Yeah. Into danger. And you're basically broadcasting your home address to every lunatic that has that radio frequency. Yeah, I mean, this didn't really hold up in hindsight.
Story-wise, it just falls apart. Like I said, the plot is
interesting.
It has a good plot, but the script sucks.
Yeah.
And the characters are just underdeveloped or completely unnecessary. I don't know why Janet Leigh was in this movie, or why she was given such a focus. It just didn't was she one of the founders? Because they never came after her.
Technically, no. Yeah.
And it was just strange. Like, were the three guys on the boat relevant? They just seemed to be like cannon fodder. Just we need to. We're introducing the ghosts and we got to kill.
I feel like it's weird because I feel like I did love this, but I don't love it now. I don't even know if I like it. But watching it, the big thing or my big takeaway from this is, how is it that some movies that were from this time or even before still hold up? Something like a Vertigo, which we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. And yet something like this is it fell flat in later viewings because it doesn't have that impact. And kind of speaking to your point, it is slow, and we've now seen other things in these 40 years, and it's like this could have been done better.
You know what? It did have big I guess gaps between the set pieces or the scares or whatever. I think the thing that prevents this from being remembered or cared about to the point where something like, say, The Exorcist or something else.
I didn't know he died.
Oh yeah, just the other day.
Yeah. I was like,
Friedkin.
what? Honestly, I thought he was already dead, but
no, apparently no.
Oh, he died on Monday. I think.
But anyway, back to my point. The thing that makes those movies work is because they wrote good characters. And there was focus on those characters where you cared about them. I don't remember anybody's name in this movie, to be honest.
I don't either.
Yeah, I did. The main actor.
Malone, I think that's about it.
Yeah, the main actor. I don't remember what his name was. I don't remember what
Jamie Lee's
name was. The mayor. Anybody. They were just random people who you knew very little about, who could have just not been in the story at all because...
See, now I'm going to look it up. So Adrienne Barbeau was Stevie. Jamie Lee Curtis was Elizabeth. She did mention her name. Janet Leigh was Kathy Williams. John Houseman was Mr. Machin.
Yeah, John Houseman's in this film for a hot second.
A hot second.
He tells the story of the ship going down in the fog.
Tom Atkins was the main the main male lead. He was Nick Castle,
I guess. Nick Castle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool guy.
That's a macho 80s name.
But he looks like he's her dad.
Yeah, he doesn't have a jawline anymore. Yeah. He's just some paunchy old dude who picks up a girl hitchhiking and has sex with her. And then just finds out later, oh, yeah, what's your name? And she sticks with him. She's just like, I don't want to be alone.
He was in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
I knew I recognized that dude.
I don't know.
Well, like I was saying, the reason why you don't remember this is because, like I said, they didn't focus on the characters. And they were all kind of, you could have just replace them with anybody. They may as well have just been extras.
What could have made this better?
I just said
no. But what would you change in the story?
I wouldn't change anything in the story. I would just make the characters.
Elizabeth and Nick? Would you get rid of Elizabeth and Nick? Would you focus more on Stevie and her kid?
I would probably have focused more on Stevie and the kid. I wouldn't have had Elizabeth unless there was an actual reason, like her coming to the town has some sort of effect on the whole thing. Like,
She's an ancestor.
She's an ancestor, and the reason why they haven't been slaughtering people nonstop is because there was never 6 ancestors in the town simultaneously. But hey, guess what? Now there are.
Right.
The missing link is finally
coincides with the 100-year.
The missing link is finally there, and it's 100 years. Yeah, maybe it's sort of like fate that at 100 years, all 6 ancestors will be in Antonio Bay, ready for the grand slaughter.
Right.
And just
worlds
seriously,
are colliding.
Worlds are colliding. And I would have probably had the 6, and I would have had the people in the fog, because there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just killing everybody.
Yeah.
Just screw this only 6 thing.
Yeah.
Everybody must pay, and we got something special for you, you 6 sons of bitches.
Right.
You're going to get it real bad. And some figuring out how to stop it without having to sacrifice all 6 lives. There could have been a lot done.
Yeah, I agree.
Lord knows there was a lot of empty space between, like I said, between those set pieces where you could have fit all of that in there.
Sure.
It just, I didn't need to see Adrian Barbeau walk down 1,000 steps to the lighthouse.
Yeah. That was another thing that I think I mentioned to you while we were watching this. Like, some of the cinematography in this was really nice.
Yeah, it's very well filmed.
Very well filmed. And watching it, it's so funny. Everyone that I'm friends with that I talk to always makes fun of me. They're like, everything revolves around movies with you. But it does to some degree. But the thing that I was thinking of, the cinematography here, sort of reminded me of Green Room. How you're looking at these like really pretty things in the middle of this kind of chaotic story. And like here too, just the scenes of like the lighthouse and the shoreline,
the landscape,
and the
shoreline. Yeah. Wherever Antonio Bay is, it's a very
beautiful,
picturesque little town.
Yeah. It's supposed to be in California. I don't know if there's an actual Antonio Bay there, but.
Well, I mean, it looked nice. And like I said, this, as far as the way things were filmed,
that wasn't the issue.
He did a really good job.
Yeah,
I mean, between the just the scenery, the way everything looked, and the way they made the creatures look, the ghosts.
Yeah.
That looked really cool. Like, yes, they were genuinely scary. The way the fog rolled in.
Yeah.
And had that creepy glow to it, and was pouring under the doors, and just the tapping on the door constantly.
Yes.
That nagging tapping.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think as far as like atmosphere, I think this movie would get a 10 because it definitely
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
John Carpenter knew how to do scary stuff when he really was on his game.
Yeah.
This is proof of that.
But I agree with you.
As far as story goes, this loses a lot of points. Like I said, it has a good plot or a good kernel of a story, but the script, the way that they use the actors and the characters, why certain characters are there, you just lose so many points on that because you don't care about any of them. You're not utilizing any of them to any sort of great effect.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them had any charm to them at all. I couldn't care less if they all died. I was kind of rooting for the ghosts. Kill them all.
You know what you have to do, Ralphie. The piece de resistance about The Fog is the numbers. This has a total estimated budget of $1 million, but wound up gross worldwide, making $21,448,830, which is a huge return on investment.
I know.
Huge.
What happened to that movie studio?
I don't know.
They must have followed it up with some serious bombs to blow all that money away.
Yeah, I mean, this movie
what
did
was the
gangbusters
studio called?
for them.
Like Alpine Lanes.
Avocord
Pharmaceuticals.
What? Avo Embassy Pictures.
Avo Embassy Pictures.
Yeah, I've never. Or Avco. A-V-C-O.
Avco.
It was an American independent film production and distribution studio, active from 1942 to to 1986. Embassy was responsible for films such as The Graduate, The Producers, The Fog, The Howling, which I love, Escape from New York, and This Is Spinal Tap. And also did TV, such as The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, and The Facts of Life. That's too bad. I mean, that did a lot. They did a lot.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to them.
I don't know.
I guess are they only listing their successes on that list?
It's so funny. I kept telling you, I was like, why is the Studio Canal thing in the front? It says, today, Studio Canal owns ancillary rights to the majority of Embassy's theatrical library, while Sony Pictures Television owns worldwide television syndication rights to the studio's films and TV studios. And TV shows, sorry.
They sold out.
This is according to Wiki, in 1967, Embassy was acquired by Avco. The company struggled in the 70s before focusing lower budget genre films at the end of the decade. In 1982, TV producer Norman Lear and his partner Jerry Perenchio bought the studio, and it became involved in television production. In 1985, Embassy was sold to the Coca-Cola Company, which sold the studio to Dino De Laurentiis in October of that same year. But it went defunct in 1986. It folded into the De Laurentiis Entertainment Group.
All right.
Interesting. But that's a pretty decent
Yeah, they got a pretty good resume.
The Graduate was a big deal. The Producers was a big. The Fog was successful commercially. The Howling was great. I love The Howling.
I wonder if that holds up.
We have to watch that. I think.
Watch that and see if it's the same. Because seriously,
because we saw American Werewolf in London, and I love the crap out of that movie. But when we saw it again, I was like, "Oh,
this drags."
Yeah, this wasn't as good as I remember. Escape from New York. That's got to be good still.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen bits of it in the decades since it came out, and the bits I've seen were always entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, Snake Plissken was always...
I mean, Kurt Russell's...
But that's the thing. There's a character.
Right.
There is a character. You remember that. Yes, Snake Plissken, the guy with the freaking eye patch.
Yeah.
Everybody's... Whenever he sees somebody, Snake Plissken, I thought you were dead. He was a great character. McCready.
Yeah.
Great character.
That
go
guy's
to my
a shit.
cabin and get drunk.
Did you have a favorite scene in this? Other than the priest jumping out? Like a little Jack-in-the-Box toy?
Like I said, the build-up, the way that they handled the ghosts, I thought was very well. The kills are just snoozes.
Yeah.
You're going to yawn your way through any of the actual killing. Really, without that, and without interesting characters that I actually cared about,
yeah, it's a dud.
It's not good. I mean, I guess I liked it more as a little kid because when you're a little kid, you just don't give a crap about things like story and character.
Yeah.
And
also, I think the thing about being a little kid that sort of plays into the overall experience is your imagination. Like, I remember watching stuff like this as a child and just being completely traumatized.
You take that, took it home with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You were I mean, I told you I was traumatized after The Exorcist.
Looking under the door and like dreading smoke coming out from under the fog.
Or did I see
out.
that?
Yeah. Even today, like on the rare occasion when there's a really foggy day, you're just like, yeah, this is a little creepy. I don't know if it was from the mist or the fog, but
I can't watch The Mist.
But like The
Mist is great.
The Mist, you cared about the characters. They built up the characters, and there was a lot. And there was like the bad characters and the good characters, and I remember them, and I remember wanting some of them to die and wanting some of them to succeed.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, just the creepiness of
what was going on.
There's something in the fog. There's something in the mist.
Yeah.
I love that. There's something. You can't say there's a guy out there. No, it's something.
Right. Because you can't even see.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting because it was like when you pan from Adrienne Barbeau's character to what she's seeing, it's like this glow in the dark lava that's covering.
It's just oozing out.
It's oozing out, which I was like, I wonder how they did that.
I mean, like I said, that none of that, all that stuff was good. It was just piss poor characters with really not much to say or much to grab onto. Like seriously, I'm sure Tom Atkins is a wonderful man, maybe Who knows? Maybe he's a raging drunk or something. But he is
like
just
superfluous here.
Yeah. Nothing about him captures my attention.
Nothing. Other than the fact that how did this old geezer get hot Jamie Lee Curtis?
I know. That was just pointless.
This old geezer.
He was just too manly for her.
Yeah.
What was it, Nick Castle?
Nick Castle.
That's right, baby.
Meow, baby.
Meow, baby. Nick Castle.
I miss Telly Savalas. That's what this movie needed. Some
my
Kojak.
Yeah, that would have been even better.
He would have been on it. He would have solved that case.
Yep.
Nothing would have gotten past him. I mean, the practical effects of the ghosts or whatever you want to call them was really, really well done. And again, another nod to just how great it is to have practical effects.
Yeah.
I mean, I
back
like
then,
CG.
everything had to be practical.
Yeah, I like CG, but it's nice to have practical effects, I think. All right, we should probably rate this 1 to 10. What are you going to give this?
I'll give this a 5. It's kind of more of a 4, but I was impressed with the atmosphere that the film had.
I'm going to give this a 6. It's definitely a little bit better than average. Like, I would watch this again before I watch Smile.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, yeah, there's definitely stuff lacking in it. But I think it also sets the tone for other horror movies. I feel like this is kind of a template for other things that I've seen. And also, kind of to a point that you made before, it's kind of nice to see sort of the early repertoire of John Carpenter.
Yeah, I mean, for a while there, he was super hot.
Yeah.
And then he
Big
just kind of died off.
Yeah,
and
big
time. The last stuff he put out was kind of terrible.
Yeah, just okay. Although, I'm sure his filmography is better than what's the other one? David Cronenberg.
No. David Cronenberg has got some super classic movies. I mean, now his stuff is kind of garbage, but David Cronenberg's made some pretty crazy movies.
Yes, but I'm saying, like, I feel like his filmography, yes, was really impactful at one point, but I feel like there's more duds now.
Now, I mean, well, you can't really
hits.
compare because I don't think John Carpenter does anything anymore. Really.
I don't think so either, but I feel like pound for pound, Carpenter's stuff is way better.
They're more fun. Carpenter's stuff is more fun.
All right, fair enough, but still, all in all, way better than Cronenberg.
I don't know. I feel their careers are kind of parallel. They both started out really good. They had pretty healthy careers, and then their later stuff was either bad or just forgettable.
I don't know. I
think the only difference between the two is but Cronenberg still makes stuff,
which is just insane because all of his new stuff is just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I mean, that's a guy that lives in nostalgia. And I think people that cut him slack are people that refuse to admit that his best days are behind him.
I don't know. I don't feel like shitting on anybody. So.
All right, we don't have to. All right, so 5 and a 6. I guess if you want to go down memory lane, this is a kind of a fun treat to get into.
Yeah.
It's not scary in the slightest. And we watched this with our youngest, who's kind of squeamish, and no reaction. If anything, it made her take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Probably.
Yeah. So I think if you are interested in the works of John Carpenter or any of the actors and actresses in this film, definitely check it out. If you like horror and want to immerse yourself in 80s horror, definitely check this film out. I think it's definitely an important piece of the 80s horror landscape. I think 80s horror was like a big deal.
And it got remade. I never saw the remake.
I saw bits and pieces of it. It was just all right. I think I'd rather watch this again, as slow and as boring as I found this.
All right.
Yeah. All right. And that's it from us. And we will bid you all a
good night.
Good